Call to order the February 6, 2025 Road Commission meeting, and welcome all of our guests. And this time I would like to ask Mr. Murphy if he will do the prayer for me, and Bernard will do the pledge.
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings. Thank you for life, and thank you for our board member here. Be with our men and women as a military bunch, as they do whatever they do throughout the country, dear Lord. Dear Lord, just be with each and every one of us as we go throughout each and every day. Be with our board as they make decisions over the things that we do here in the county. Dear Lord, just watch over each and every one of us and guide and direct us. In the Lord's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Come in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, man, for that. And you have a set of minutes in front of you.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Okay. Anyone here wishing to speak before the Road Commission today, just step forward, state your name and address for the record.
I need to push over. Hi there, my name is Rodney Berlin. I actually live on Gladeville Road. I actually own 3 properties on Gladeville Road, right at the corner of Central Pike and Gladeville Road. A couple of things I'm just kind of wondering about. There's a piece of property that is going up for sale right across the street from me, a farm field area. And knowing my understanding is being sold, I don't know if it's going to be for commercial, it's going to be residential, they're going to be putting a neighborhood back there or what. A couple of things that I'm kind of wondering on is the amount of traffic we already have on Gladeville Road. I left at 8 o'clock from my house and I just got here about 10 minutes ago. School doesn't help either, but there's enough traffic coming down Gladeville Road and Central Pike that it's unbearable. But so with that happening, and also the creek that goes underneath Gladeville Road, Road Commission, the superintendent probably know that it floods quite often. They even put up barriers to stop cars, and they actually turn around in my yard and driveway to go back the opposite direction because they're scared to go across that. And we're not talking like the 2010 flood. That was, of course, got everybody, but just heavy rains, it's going to happen. So it's going to be water runoff as well from any type of new building or anything like that in there. I don't know what control the Road Commission can have about having access from Gladeville Road into that property. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that there's a ditch there. I don't know if y'all ever go back through there and fill in the ditches or what. This morning when I was coming in, I noticed that there was some dirt in the ditch, fresh dirt. Still had the grass messed up and everything. So I don't know if it was being filled in or what. And also if y'all actually pull new ditches, because like I said, it already floods through there. So if water is getting pulled more to that creek, it's just causing more damage. Even my neighbor, as it goes, when it rains, it floods right up to her house. It doesn't get on the inside, but like into the crawl space, it would get into that area. And I mean, it covers most of her property. And her husband's dead, so it's just her. She has nobody to call on either. One other item is also at that creek, what would be the determining factors for putting up guardrails? Literally, we had a Hispanic driver, no license, no insurance, came over the top of the hill from the Gladeville direction, headed towards Central Pike, jumped the creek because he came off the road, but jumped the creek, landed in my yard, busted his oil pan, messed up the car completely, couldn't drive off. So if there would have been some guardrails that would have kept him from going into the, jumping the creek. And this might be something for another committee, y'all have to tell me on this one. As far as rezoning, who takes care of that? I think that's about what I got here. Can you think of anything else? They covered it all.
And you take care of everything.
Yep, that is all my questions and concerns.
How can we find out who is taking care of that property? Is it a developer that's gonna put apartments in there, commercial? How do we find that out?
I would go up to the county planning office, it's in the courthourhouse there, where you buy your tags and stuff. Go down the bottom and see Christopher Lawless.
Mhm.
Christopher can give you some good information, I think, on that. Also talk to him about the rezoning part.
Okay.
Okay.
I tried talking to Squeaky and Tommy Jones, and he just,
We're sorry.
I could see his house from mine. Yeah, it was,
Yeah, but it's a.
the conversation just, he couldn't stay focused, I guess could be the word for it. I talked to him about one thing and he went someplace completely different. So that's the reason I came here, because I wasn't getting an answer from my commissioner.
Got you. Okay.
Hey, son, ask him about that sewer. Nobody
Yeah,
knows
there's
anything
a
about it.
sewer right there behind the store, Griffin's Market. I don't know if y'all know where that's at. Everybody seems to. There's a sewer that you can't help but smell. I mean, even out across the street, anywhere. Who would be the person to contact about that?
I think, James here.
Yeah, stormwater, so if it's sewer, you can call stormwater with any of your drainage concerns, we'll come out and look at it.
Okay.
If it's septic, we'll investigate that, and if I found any kind of release or something going on with that system, then I'll notify the state, and they'll send a letter about repairs,
Okay.
so I can investigate that for you.
It's strong.
Is it something on top of the ground?
I haven't seen anything on top of the ground, but it's
Because there is no sewer out there except.
it's septic tank, yeah.
Yeah.
And the lines are behind the building.
But I tell you, James, what it could be, because that's Griffin's and they deep fry stuff in there, it might be the grease trap. That
I'll
is.
check that too.
Is it not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's definitely sewer.
Well, it puts
Well,
off
I mean,
that too.
Oh, yeah, but
All that grease puts off that too.
But if you take a look at the aerial shots of the store using Google Earth,
Uh-huh.
and you can see the perfect little wet mark lines.
Oh.
Yep.
So,
It's rough.
Mr. Rodney, too, and James Vaden is our stormwater director, okay?
Okay.
Again, he deals with water quality, not quantity, but the issues you may be talking about too is something that TDEC takes care of that we don't take care of. He'll make that direction to them. I said, what you think he was the guy that deals with the sewer part? Okay, and the issues about the road and stuff, Mr. Murphy heard those and he'll look into those for you, okay?
I've talked to him before, great person.
Okay, good,
You just gotta do some house sweet.
gotcha. Anyone else wishing to speak before the road commission today? Seeing none, we'll close public comment period then, and we'll move to the, since I don't have an assistant superintendent here, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Subdivision report, anybody got anything on that? Not a lot going on this month. We got slope mowers are running, which I've got 2 down. I tell you, we've had trouble, we've had time trying to keep them things together. They just, I believe they're made out of Tonka truck stuff now, because they tore up all the time. Patchwork, has anybody got any patching needs to be done anywhere that you've heard of any?
Oh, well, you probably don't do it, but that, and they probably, the state's probably not gonna do that stretch either, but right there before you get to Lover's Lane, there is AD.
The state, they,
Yeah, and plus they fixing to redo the road, so, but it's, I've been getting some calls on it. But that's what I've been telling them, I guess that's right.
And then today, me and you're gonna go around and you had, Randy, Paul had asked me to, I wrote and looked at some stuff with him, and so now Robert Murphy will look out that way and see if there's anything to be done here.
just doing a general maintenance, and I was gonna tell you, I have talked to, T-Dot about the bridge on Stewart's Ferry. Supposedly, this is what they told me, it's gonna be in review this week. So, that's all I got. But I did want y'all to know that I checked on it to see. That it's been in review since November, so here we are, February.
Okay.
Hurry up and wait.
I got one other, out on Hartsville Pike also, just past, Spring Creek right there, there's a subdivision going back in there. You know what I'm talking about? It's gonna be-
Left?
Yeah, on the left. It's gonna be called Holland Way.
I hadn't heard anything about it.
Okay. Yeah, well, the sign, he took the sign down, this laying against the pole there, the light pole there, but it's supposed to be called Holland Way. And so as those road, and it goes back in there for probably about a mile, and there's about 8 or 9 tracks. I drove up in there the other day, it's about 8 or 9 tracks back in there. Is that gonna be a road that he has to meet your specs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
That's what I was wondering.
yeah.
So what is that?
But I hadn't heard anything about it. Now, unless Chase has heard something. Chase could have heard something about it, but he hadn't said anything about it.
Okay.
But a lot of times we, you know, until they get ready to start putting rock down, we might not hear nothing about it.
Okay. But it will be the specs for you,
County
what is
specs.
that, 35 foot, 25 off the center line, so it's probably 50.
Be 50 foot.
Yeah.
Be 50 foot, I mean, he'll have to get on our website to get our specs.
Will y'all
Rock.
maintain that road then, or?
Well, I mean, he'll have to build it to our specs, and then he'll have to keep it for 2 years after he gets it completed.
Uh-huh.
And then after the 2 years, we're going to re-inspect it, and then if it's up to our specs and nothing's tore up, we'll take it on.
Not chipped, but paved? right?
Pay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Any other questions, Mr. Murphy?
Motion to approve this report.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you, sir. County Attorney, anything?
Mayor, I don't have anything today, but I'm aware of, unless y'all have questions about something.
I do. And this is probably, it ain't road commission, but, I guess there was some settlement on the query. Yeah.
Yeah, we won that case at trial, won across the board. And they appealed it to the Court of Appeals. In the meantime, their attorney withdrew. And the Court of Appeals gave them 45 days to find a new attorney. Actually gave them more time than that, you know, just the way it worked out. But the four citizens that filed in the county, we all asked the court to dismiss the appeal. They did, and it's over with.
Good deal. Appreciate you.
Thank you for your work here. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other question for Mark?
Yeah, I got one. Last meeting, you talked about how the state, back in '61, had all kinds of different ways, or at least one or two different ways the county could close roads. Is there any way, and maybe it's not even us, maybe it is the planning commission, but is there any other where we could have a procedure that involved the planning commission on it? Because it just seems to me that if something was subdivided, even if it was 50 or 60 years ago, it was done with the planning commission for whatever reason. And then 50 or 60 years later, someone comes in here and wants to start closing lots and closing the road in front of lots. Should they be involved? Or is there a way that we could make a procedure that would bring them into it?
I think we could make a local procedure, you know, to add to what the state already has outlined in statute, Bobby, but, you know, the system that the state has done is pretty antiquated. It really is. Having two freeholders go out there, if you want to close a road, you take two freeholders out there and they all agree, and, I mean, that's two people out of 150,000 people in the county, the two that are not elected by anybody. But that's what's in the law right now. Back to your question, I think we could add something in there that would say a recommendation to close the road would not go forward until the planning commission looked at it and had input or a recommendation. We could do that.
Do I need to have a vote on something like that to move it to the next level, to get something like that going? I mean.
Well, I take it would be just y'all's decision that you're not going to consider closing a road and following state law until the planning commission looks at it. That's just me shooting from the hip now. I put every bit of 2 minutes worth of thought into that, okay?
I mean,
Now, Bob, you just talking about the roads or talking about like these easements and everything?
well, all of it really, because just in my mind, the planning commission ultimately did this for right or wrong, whatever they thought, and they may all be getting going now for a lot of these roads, but still, it's the same board. And they have a lot of other things that they are supposed to consider than just us. We're just basically roads, right? And I don't know, I just thought, as many as we're getting, and they're all different. And a lot of them are good. I mean, it's not that I'm against any of this. I just don't want to come back and have it biased.
So what happens if, like on the one that me and Chad's been working on down there?
We're still kind of in that one.
Yeah, Spence Creek, and, you know, and the road got open because the city asked us to do that so they could get in there and do construction and stuff. And then once we opened that road up and said it was okay, then that happened. We had some citizens in the county that said, hey, we've got a lot of traffic coming through, it's kind of fast, wish we could shut that down. And that's not reasons to close roads, of course. And so we asked the city, would they want to shut it off? And they said no. Come back to you, and you said, hey, you know, it's a county road, everybody pays taxes, and the people coming through there have a right to use that road. But if we went to the planning commission and, you know, enough people talked to them and they said, yeah, we want to close over, the planning commission closed that road. Again, the roads are your control, it's not the planning commission's control.
That's right.
It is the road superintendent, so would we get to fighting ourselves there?
Well, I think, if I'm interpreting what Bobby's saying, he wants some input from them as to whether it's a good idea or not. Not whether, yeah, the ultimate decision would be y'all's as to whether or not the road's closed. But,
It doesn't pit us against one another. The planning commission says, yes, we ought to, and then we get here and say, no, you ain't gonna do that. And then, well, you know, the citizens say, well, the planning commission said you
well,
should.
the planning commission, in my opinion, shouldn't recommend to you affirmatively that you gotta do it. They should say, you know, we would approve of it or whatever, but ultimately it's your decision.
So really, then probably what you're asking for is the flip side. If we say we think we ought to close a road and we want to go through the process, we just need to get them to say, we agree with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Not get them in the mix to begin with.
safety, no.
And I think the big thing is like the easements is what,
Yeah.
Bobby is really, because, we don't own it.
Yeah, but I think we've taken care of that with the letter. I think y'all come up with a
Write a
good.
letter saying we don't have any control, and if they want
Yeah.
to go redo it, they can.
But the situation that you and Chad are talking about, and Chad's had this on his mind for several months, people talking to him down there, that's a different situation. But when you get into it and you look at what it takes to close a road, really the legislature needs to look at changing that a little bit, but I doubt they're going to, simply because Tennessee's such a pro-growth, pro-development state. They would view that as a state law, I would think. That's just me.
And the reason, it was open, the city and the county connected there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not really much they can,
All right, well, I've got one that's in that same realm. If you come around the corner, you got Henley Drive going off to your right, coming headed back north. All right, out there in the corner, there's a house down off in the hole, of course, and then right behind them, there's a sheriff deputy that lives right behind them. There's an easement right between them that's wooded, and they want to clean it out, but they don't know whose it is. How does that happen in the county? And so she come and she went to, I guess the planning. She went and talked to Chris. He sent her to the city.
Because it's in the city?
It's not in the city.
It's in the county.
It's in the county, but he sent her to the city because the city, he said, is fixing to take that over. And I said, ain't nobody told me that. And so I said, we've got to deal with that. It's in the county right now. And she said, no, he told me straight up that I'd have to go to the city. Well, she went to the city, and the city said, we don't have no idea what you're talking about. So,
Well, see, years ago, when they'd done these old subdivisions, they'd done these easements because they were going to extend the subdivision, and it never did happen. So that's what.
built on part of it. Well, it leads to a barbed wire fence in somebody's yard. So it just backs up. It's 50 foot, and they want it cleaned out, but they can't. They're either one of them scared to touch it.
So if Chris said that, he wouldn't say it off the cuff. He must know that they're fixing to annex it. He wouldn't just make that comment.
But I don't know
Is it
why
in
they
the urban
would
growth boundary?
Sir?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
If it's in the urban growth boundary, that's Chris's standard statement. That's gonna be adopted by the city, so he's looking at that.
But that's probably been in there for years. They're just wanting to clean it up. But, I do know Rutledge Lane is coming around, and where it ends, or Hartman Drive's coming around, where it's gonna come back out, I don't know. So, I'm just gonna tell them to clean it up, or I'll go over and help them clean it up. And
Is it trash, or is it?
no, it's just trees.
Well, that's a
I
good thing, see?
Yeah.
That's a
The thing about
good
it
place
is,
for the environment, the birds.
Yeah.
The deer gotta have
And the
somewhere
bees
to hide.
too, and the snakes.
well, you know what's gonna happen when you clean it up. Then you're gonna have people going back in there.
No, this is,
This is like.
it's
20
50 foot
houses.
wide, but it ain't no further than that wall behind James.
Oh, okay, I thought we put that.
Yeah, no, it's just a wall behind James, and so I'm gonna go over there and we on record. I'm gonna say, you got 25, you got 25. Let's go. That's what I want to do, but you can't do that.
This is not an official statement, and certainly not an official statement of the county. but sometimes it's easier to get forgiveness than it is permission.
That's what I told him. I'm running the chainsaw over there. And
I'd quote another great man that was involved in county government, but I'll let his soul rest.
Any other good comments or questions to come?
I don't know if that was a good one. I'm just trying to exit that, some type of exit strategy here.
I may want to use that someday. Anything else for the county attorney? So, Mr. Bobby, any thought to your comment?
Well,
You want to take it up?
I think Commissioner Dial just sort of made my point in a way, because the reason that Chris did this is because he sent it to the planning commission that had authority over it. And the planning commission has authority over easements and infrastructure and the original approval, right? I mean, that's just the way it is in the state. And now the state's giving us the right to close roads in this weird way, in a couple of weird ways. That don't make any sense whatsoever.
You know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak.
Well, I just don't want, especially around the lake, we don't know why some of this stuff was ever out there like this. Was there gonna be an easement for a water line or some kind of, I mean, we just have no idea. And we might be messing up, and I just thought that getting their input. Now, if this is road commission, it would certainly seem to have authority over it, that would be the end all say, but
It would.
I just like to go back to the original board, or at least the authority that did it to begin with.
Well, I'm sorry, as said before, we're not gonna be able to change state law, but there may be a way to do, I think there is a way to do what you wanna do, and that is that the road commission takes the position that we're not gonna consider this until the planning commission takes a look at it. Now, the planning commission is gonna have to agree to do that too. If they say, we don't wanna step into that, then we're still back over here, whether they do or don't. But, that's another way to get more input, and,
Or could we say this, Mike, could we say when, next time we are maybe going to consider closing a road, that we get staff here to talk to the planning staff to say, hey, give us any other history we need to know about this, and maybe even have Christopher come up and talk to us, instead of involving the planning commission, just making sure that, I think he's wanting to make sure that all the
can do that.
faxes and stuff are taken care of, and we just ask Christopher to say, hey, can you speak on this? We're considering it. What's your thoughts on this? Let them look at the history and bring the facts to us and go that route.
you could do that, and I look at that, I'm just sitting there thinking again, that's a little scary, but over the years, I can remember the time in the planning commission, we didn't get input from the school system, we didn't get input from the emergency management people, we didn't get, probably didn't get a lot of input from the road department, and things came in there, and we hadn't asked for it. I'm not saying that it wasn't available, but now we've started where, you know, because it affects schools that we built, subdivision stuff, we get education input, we get emergency services input, we get road input, and I probably just, like you're talking about, have them come in. I think Christopher would do it.
It may not just be Christopher, it could be Mount Juliet and Lebanon too.
Well, yeah, hadn't thought about that, sure.
You just involve the planning commission as a jurisdiction. That's your motion.
Yeah.
for us to
But we're
consider.
still talking about two different things though, right? You're talking about just roads.
Well,
Because you mentioned the lake, you know, our problem that I had was that developer put 3 access points on that development. And through the years, they let their covenant restrictions die out. And then a neighbor come in there and said, look, nobody's taking care of that. I want it. So we talked about it. The other neighbor said, well, I don't want it. So he come up here.
so now we.
And the lawsuit was on after that.
And it was on.
So now we just write a letter, we don't put.
Right.
We just-
But then, Bobby, you're
It's
talking
not
about roads, which in my opinion is a whole
easements.
totally different situation. Because Norm, down there by West Elementary, there's, where the Ustrick's garage is, they've got a old easement up through there. So he come, which we give him a letter, and there's a 50-foot right-of-way. So I don't know, it's kinda, but then last month, the lady in my district on Sanford wanted to close the road.
Well, I went and looked at that, and there's a cul-de-sac back there, and she can't do that.
Cause I don't think we ought to get into that,
No.
cause it's a
Mike, I
taxpayer's
mean, I agree with
road.
Mike on that, we don't need to start that.
Yeah, you don't want to start closing roads if you
But
can
there's-
stay away from
But there's a cul-de-sac back there, because we've got the leak.
And that's what, Chris, you got an easement that nobody knows whose it is,
Yep.
so it's not, so I don't know what we're trying to
Yeah,
do.
these things are all different. Every one of them's different.
I know, I mean.
Oh, that
Some of
wasn't
them
an
are
official
complicated.
legal opinion, okay? That's what I said. That's some Watertown talk. all right?
Watertown talk, yeah.
Okay,
Did I ever get a second? I guess I didn't.
got a motion and a second, and that we'll have consideration to the planning commission if we ever decide to do something like that. Any other comments on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, going to old business, we didn't have it on the agenda the time we talked about it. You guys said, hey, look, we're okay selling the old road commission office, and you approved that, and we went on, but it was brought to our attention that it really wasn't on the agenda, so we brought it back up just for you to re-vote on that, because it was put on the agenda today. So if I can have your wishes on that and go through that horse.
Motion approved.
Any other discussion?
And this is just a vote to say we want to sell it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any other old business to come before the body? New business? One more motion.
Motion to adjourn.